Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by Shane Taylor, the baddest champion on the planet, reigning Ring of Honor six-man tag team champion, alongside Moses Khan of Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you? You were stumbling through that intro. What's
I'm
going on,
sorry, I'm a
buddy?
little flustered here, but I'm so flustered because I'm so excited for your huge
Not
match this
safe.
weekend on Ring
Safe.
of Honor television. It's going to be you, Brody King, Kenny King, and Jay Lethal, a four-man match here. This epic clash between, I would say, maybe the unofficial leaders of Ring of Honor's four prominent stables here. Obviously, with you, Shane Taylor Promotions, Violence Unlimited, the Foundation, and LFI here. So just kind of previewing that match. This is the first time you've met the other teams in tag team matches, but I would say this is kind of the first time you've really faced off in such a multifaceted, a match like this, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, this one is definitely different. Individually, I've faced each guy before. I've lost to all of them, at some point. Um, but that was prior to the person that I am now, the mindset that I have now. I'm a different competitor now than the first time that I stepped into the ring with Lethal. I'm a different competitor now than the title tournament. You know what I mean? Against Brody months ago. And with Kenny, he already knows how different I am now because I beat him months ago as well on my way to that match with Roosh. So this definitely, there's a lot at stake, right? It's been, I haven't been quiet about saying that I believe Shane Taylor Promotions should be talked about more when people talk about these faction wars and all that stuff, because you're looking at a group of guys right now and as an STP who are self-made. There's a reason people don't talk about us on pay-per-view intros, right? There's a reason that when people start talking about all the championships they want to win and, taking all the gold in ROH, they don't mention STP because they know if they mention us, we're coming to see him directly. And so now I get to prove that. I get the opportunity to stand in the ring. Even though I don't like Kenny, he's one of the very best in the world, has been for over 20 years now. Jay Lethal, he's the franchise. There's nothing you can say about him that hasn't been said a million times. One of probably the greatest wrestlers in the history of the sport, if we really want to talk about it. And Brody King, who's been a monster now, and not only in ROH but in Japan, everywhere he's gone. So this is my chance to sort of stamp that flag for STP and make sure people understand just who we are in ROH.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, this is such a fascinating match for that very reason. And then, especially like kind of focusing on you as we are here, just you have such a varying kind of degree of history with these persons in this match. So you have face Jay Lethal, as mentioned. You have definitely some bad blood with Kenny King, and I remember watching face Brody King, as you mentioned, before you even faced Roosh for the world title. Him beating you was kind of his springboard to facing Roosh at Final Battle last year. So that's definitely a match that I've been hoping to see again for a while, and now getting to see at least that partially in this match here. And then you mentioned Jay Lethal, former world champion, the franchise, and I was doing some research. It was like, I mean, I can't recall you facing him since I've really full-time started watching, and that was, the beginning of 2019. So it's definitely been a while since you faced him. So, and as you mentioned yourself, you've definitely changed a lot as a competitor, even just since you faced Jay Lethal. And again, Kenny King there, definitely a score to settle, to be sure. So, would you say, I mean, I watched your promo before kind of the preview of the match, and you mentioned this match is definitely a chance to kind of climb the rankings for the world title, but at the same time to get some, so they could get their revenge on Kenny King. Is there any kind of worry about those two motives maybe getting in each other's way, where maybe your thirst for revenge could, prove to be detrimental in a way?
I could see how someone would have that perspective. For me, I don't think there is. For me, there's nothing really for me to lose in this match. Number one, it's a four-way, right? Anything can happen. But I have the opportunity to climb the ranks to win the world title. Here's my thing with that. As I've sat back and I've listened and I've looked at the title picture, I look and see how things move. I understand who I am. I understand what the powers that be want to be the face of the company. I understand who they want to be the face of the company. I'm not that individual, right? So while I would like to win the Ring of Honor world title, I also know that even getting this shot, right? Like I've been the man for years in ROH, but it wasn't until they did a fan poll and the people told them like, yo, give Shane Taylor a shot, that they were like, oh, well, maybe, yeah, Shane deserves a shot. It's like, yeah, come on, bro. Exactly. Right. But here we are. Right. So when you know that brass ring is so far above your head that it's like, okay, I could try, or I could take this opportunity to beat Kenny's ass. Both things I want to do, both things I want to accomplish. One is more tangible in the moment. The other would be great. You know what I mean? That's a goal that, that I've had for years. And, until right now, as it stands, the only one that's been able to do it that looks like myself has been Jay. And with him being in the match, that's going to be a factor as well. He's been to that spot. He's got that experience. He's got that skill, knowledge. So for me, it's almost 50-50. It's like, bro, if I don't win, nothing really changes, right? Nothing changes. But I very much have the chance of whooping Kenny's ass. So I don't know. That may be the thing that I go for.
And I nobody could blame him if you did. But hearing you describe, that brass ring, the fact that you haven't really gotten the opportunity, that there may be some fairness in saying that you don't exactly represent what Ring of Honor management may be looking for in the champion. I can't help but think, we've seen that before, where a guy like Daniel Bryan, or now Bryan Danielson, has kind of defied the odds and then ridden some fan support in kind of getting that brass ring anyway, where it's like the fan support really kind of forces the hand in saying, okay, we may not want this, or we may not exactly have this plan, but at some point, at various points in history, we've seen kind of the fans help kind of overcome that. Do you see any truth in that, especially with the fact that you mentioned to yourself, the fans have already helped show the support with that fan poll? Is that something you can kind of not necessarily depend on, but kind of keep in mind going forward in this pursuit of that brass ring?
Oh, for sure. I think one of the ways that I like to do business is I like to force people's hands, right? Like I don't like giving you choices. You know what I mean? I want to take every opinion away, every choice away, every reason to say no is gone. So now you're stuck with two choices. Yeah. It's either you do or you don't. There's no weaseling out of it. There's no escape plan. You just have to look at me in the eye and say yes or no. Right. And this is something that's very similar to Danielson's run, to Kofi's run, where management feels like they have what they want, and the people are like, nah, man, this is the guy we want. But either way, you know what I mean? Like, I believe right now, and I believe this wholeheartedly, sometimes in situations you have people that the Ring of Honor world title is supposed to make them. The Ring of Honor world title is supposed to be their platform to show the world that they're a superstar, that they're the guy. I don't need that. In my hands, I make the Ring of Honor world title again. In my hands, I bring it back to the prominence that it had when Danielson had it, when Joe had it, when Nigel had it, when Homicide had it, Punk had it. I believe I'm the guy that's going to be able to do that. This is no shade to anybody else. I just feel like in that role, you need to lead a certain way. You need to be the guy that can stamp that flag, draw that line, and say, we're on this side of this. We ride here, right? This is who we are. All of the backpacking with different people and doing this and having other people come in to just like take over your thing, like that, those guys wouldn't have allowed that then. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not what they did. They stood their ground, told the world we're the best. This is why, went out and proved it, and just went to war every single night to accomplish their goal. And until people realize that, and that's with STP, I believe, whether management likes it or not, we are the closest thing to that original rebellious spirit that Ring of Honor had in its early days, right? When they talk about the golden years of ROH, that's what we represent. Like, there's no problem with saying you're the best, believing you're the best, going out, sticking to your guns, caring about what's within your circle of things, and going out and proving that, right? So that's really what we've just tried to embody over the last year and a half to 2 years. And it seems to be working, man. The people are responding. When we went to Baltimore, they absolutely blew a roof off the place. When we went to Philly, both times, they were absolutely going nuts. So it's great for someone like myself, great for the guys, Khan, Moses, O'Shea, Ron Hunt, to know all the hard work we put in, to know the sacrifices that we make, the way we decide to lead, to see that being supported by the fans is truly great.
It really is. And you mentioned obviously your run here with Shane Taylor Promotions, Moses and Khan. When we last spoke, we were previewing Best in the World when you were facing Dalton Castle, Eli Isom, and Dak Draper. Since then, you've had two more really high-profile matches. At Glory by Honor, it was against Incoherence. At Death Before Dishonor, it was against LFI. How would you say, or if anything has kind of changed, or if how you've evolved as a group, just in recent, in general, in recent months? Is it kind of a matter of growing together, becoming more cohesive together? Not to say that you weren't, but becoming even more of a cohesive unit, right, as you continue to kind of dominate here? I mean, what's kind of, if not changing, like just how are things kind of generally progressing with Shane Promotions?
Now you hit it, man. Like, as a team, we've just grown, we've evolved, we're able to move and interchange, just like you saw at the last pay-per-view, right? Kenny King tried to be, a little punk and take me out prior to the match, but we insert O'Shea and nothing changes. The team is just as smooth, just as coherent. The timing is just as good. Like, we've evolved and we're continuing to get better as a team, as a unit, as a group, which is bad news for everybody because we were already whooping their asses. So now we continue to get better. It's like it's like Tom Brady, man. And it's like, you thought, okay, well, maybe it's just the system. Nah, man. Like, that's us. That's simply who we are. We go out, we win. And to me, that's important as well, because at any point in time, you don't want it to be just so centered on me, right? This allows Khan, Moses, O'Shea to be able to have their own platform to do things the way they want to learn, grow, adapt. And I'm super proud of them because, like, I had no worries in that match. Like, I knew with me in it, with me out of it, whatever they were going to get the job done. And, when you have that, when you have the utmost faith, the utmost trust, the utmost belief in the people around you, and they're willing to ride for you, to go to war for you, and they know you have their back just as much, there's nobody stopping you.
I think that the proof's in the pudding in terms of that, trust in the process and the system really working. Where, as you mentioned, at Death Before Dishonor, Kenny King takes you out, and I think for at least there is some perspective to saying, oh, Shane Taylor's down, now LFI might have the upper hand, but O'Shea board steps in and keep on rolling there. And that was a great chance for him to really step up. And, to circle back a little bit, we were talking about these other factions and how, the other factions are usually the center of the conversation. Do you think there's something to be said for, you guys are absolutely dominant as the 6-man tag team champions, but, these other factions, LFI has held pretty much every title in the company at some point. The foundation has pretty much done that as well. And so have Vals Limited. Is there anything to be said for, to kind of reach maybe that next level in this consideration of the factions, potentially most of the con chasing the tag titles or trying to acquire another championship to add to your current reign? Would that kind of potentially be a goal to help not bridge the gap, but to kind of combat that that factor of like the other factions tend to be more directly in the center of the conversation?
There's definitely no gap. I think other people are centered in the conversation because that's just what people want other people to believe. We've stepped in the ring as a group with the foundation with 3 people, with 4 people, and beaten them every single time. We've stepped in the ring with LFI. We've beaten them with 3 people. They won, I guess, with 4, even though a shot to the nuts is kind of bush league, but it is what it is. There's no excuses here. They got that one. But we've held our own and or beaten the very best in ROH. So when you then have a situation where people still don't want to talk about you, that doesn't mean they can't. It simply means they don't want to, right? And there's a reason for that. And the reason I believe is because once you allow that, you now have a fear of what those groups are going to say, what they're going to do, because what they say and do doesn't necessarily fit in line with your vision as a company, right? So we tend to be the ones that are the most outspoken. We tend to be the ones that, cause the most controversy. So that's that. There's a nervous feeling around STP, right? But my thing is listen to your people. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the people that are coming to pay tickets and, and all that stuff. They know who the group is. They know who the man is. They know who they want to see have these championships, have these, all these accolades and things like that. But as far as chasing other gold, I've always been set that we are an extremely greedy group, greedy for success, greedy for championships. And again, there's a reason why everybody is so concerned with every other championship and ain't nobody coming over here to test us, right? So yes, eventually down the road, whenever this run is done, or maybe while we're on this run, Colin and Moses are going to go after those tag team titles. I would love for O'Shea to be the TV title picture and, me get back to being the number 1 contender for the Ring of Honor World title and taking that. And finally, after 20 some odd years, giving Jay Lethal some company at the top of that mountain as he's the only African-American male to ever hold that championship. So all those are goals of mine. And so far, every goal we've had as a group and individually we've accomplished. So just a few more things to check off the list.
And I certainly think that'll start this weekend, potentially with this 4-way match when you face again Brody King, Jay Lethal, and Kenny King. Before you wrap up here, I gotta know, what's your beef with Mr. Owl? I gotta know.
Listen, man. We've seen the commercial as a kid. It never sat right with me as a kid. People are trying to take this narrative and twist it like what, and I don't know what the kid's name was, but for the sake of it, we'll call him Timmy. They were like, what's Timmy doing naked in the forest? Anyway, that's beside the point. That's beside the point. right? Don't ask. It doesn't matter what he was doing out there. His family could be communing with nature. We don't know. The point is, this kid got a Tootsie Pop. He's able to talk to animals, right? Here's this owl who's supposed to be wise, supposed to be, looking out for this kid, sharing knowledge, right? Ask him, sir, how many licks does it take to get to the center of this Tootsie Pop? The owl takes it, right? All the trust that Timmy has in this owl is right here in this owl's hands. Let's find out. So he's thinking, okay, this owl's about to help me. 1, 2, 3, and proceeds to crunch Timmy's sucker, crunch his Tootsie Pop in his face, bro. In his face. Imagine, have you ever seen a kid like drop ice cream or get their balloon popped or something like that? That's the feeling. When Timmy brings that back and you see the look in his face, like, bro, if he's out there in the forest with his parents and all that, how often does he have a Tootsie Pop? It's probably a rarity. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Probably he's probably so geek, so excited. He's like, I got this Tootsie Pop. He's on cloud 9. And this owl takes it upon himself to just crush Timmy's hopes and dreams, just crush his whole shit right in his face. And it never sat right with me, man. And I because I don't sleep, right? I was just sitting up one day and was just like, bro, how did he just not get his ass beat for doing that? Did Timmy go get his parents? Like, this owl just crunched my shit in front of me. Like, I mean, like, what do I do? Like, if I'm Timmy's dad, I'm like, where's the owl? Where is he? It just never sat right. So I put it out there, and he responded, I didn't know Mr. Owl had a Twitter.
I had no idea before today.
I had no idea, and I was like, oh. He's like, oh well, he started trying to show me his degrees from Tootsie Pop U or wherever he went into school. It looked kind of suspect to me. You know what I mean? But man, he said he's changed for the better since then. I don't believe it, but we'll see. But as of now, we've talked, and he's explained his side of it. I guess people deserve another chance, but I don't know. I feel like once you crunch a sucker in a child's face, you made a firm stance on who you are as a person or an animal.
Certainly seems like it. I mean, I'd say Timmy needed somebody like Shane Taylor to teach him what's up.
I'm saying, and I'm all for it now. Like I told him, you can bring the owl from Winnie the Pooh. You can bring the Hooters owl. You know what I mean? We'll fight them all. We'll fight them all.
That's fantastic. Well, before we wrap up, I gotta ask. We're talking about Mr. Owl. How many licks to take to get the center of Tootsie Pop for Shane Taylor? How many shots at the world title will it take before you finally win the big one?
I've only had one.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I've only had one. I don't think there's a situation in which I get another one that I don't walk away with that title. So I'm gonna say 2. Because the next time I challenge for the world title, I'll be damned if I don't walk out with it.
And the next time you'll be the Mr. Owl crunching on the sucker and walking away with the gold. So again, we can definitely hope that the journey there will start this weekend. Ring of Honor Wrestling. You're going to be facing Kenny King, Jay Lethal, and Brody King in a star-studded 4-way match. Definitely looking forward to it. Shane, I wish you the very, very best, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.